Okay, welcome to this, a strange episode where we usher in the new era of TV, which intentionally or not is some of the funniest stuff I've genuinely ever seen. We now have AI-generated TV shows that live online and are never ending, constantly running episodes and revealing the absolute pits of what AI is capable of. These creations are absurd, hilarious, and at times genuinely quite concerning as we watch what looks like AI learning from itself in the guise of characters like Spongebob Squarepants. There is a lot to talk about, so let's get into it. Okay, so what am I on about here? Well, this all started in December last year when a company called Mismatch Media dropped their pixelated 90s retro game style livestream of AI-generated US sitcom Seinfeld in a parody called Nothing Forever live on Twitch. For 24 hours a day, it would generate scenes based on the Seinfeld characters walking around their New York apartment, making strange, crude jokes and having quite robotic sounding conversations inside this weird pixelated environment. But despite it being janky and weird, it was kind of mesmerizing, mainly because the conversation between the characters would go in completely absurd directions that a human would just never write.
Hey everyone! So, the other day I was walking down the street and this lady comes up to me and says, "Excuse me sir, can you tell me the time?" So I look at her and I say sorry, but I cannot. My watch is stuck in eternity.
Now, don't get me wrong, it was objectively definitely rubbish, but you sort of couldn't stop watching it knowing that AI was just continuously generating this stuff on its own. And the canned laughter in all the wrong places, for some reason, just made it even funnier.
What did they call the bear with no teeth? A gummy bear.
Suitably weird. Now, that was all fine until February of the next year when the show received a 2-week ban from Twitch because the Jerry Seinfeld type character in the show began making some quite offensive remarks. It later reappeared as season 2 though, with a few changes to the training data, and the team behind it also let people suggest storylines in their Discord, the most upvoted of which would be included in the show. So season 2 of Nothing Forever is still going right now and is constantly live. I'll leave a link below if you want to check it out. But since then, things have definitely gone up a gear. We now have new additions to the AI TV schedule, most recently AI Sponge, aka popular cartoon and internet meme show Spongebob Squarepants. Now this one got me. Within seconds of tuning in, I was watching a storyline where Spongebob got hit by a car, but Patrick the starfish refused to order him a taxi to the hospital because he'd recently been scammed out of all of his money on a website claiming to offer free cruise trips around the world. And then this happened.
Patrick, what's that big lump in your pants?
Oh, this? It's just my huge sausage.
You what?
My sausage. I've been carrying it around for weeks. You right, SpongeBob? I'll take care of it right now. He takes out his huge sausage and...
Okay, I think that's probably enough of that. It gets far more not suitable for work, some things of which genuinely made me laugh out loud. Noticeably though, AI SpongeBob visually is loads better. It's kind of like a decent SpongeBob video game. It's extremely watchable, and everyone I've sent this to has genuinely replied with a hilarious combination of, "Oh my days, what the f*** is going on here?" In fact, half the fun is watching people lose their minds in the chat, and if you donate on the stream, then you can have your name appear as one of the background characters. The show even has multiple environments in the famous Bikini Bottom, all with good voices, as voice cloning has improved a lot recently, and the conversations are just generally more hilarious. We should probably watch a little bit more because it is wild.
What's that?
It's the heat death of the universe.
What's that?
It means that eventually, all the heat in the universe will die out, and everything will become cold and dark.
Classic SpongeBob SquarePants. But it doesn't stop there, because we now have AI Simpsons as well, where you can queue up a topic of conversation for them to talk about in the chat. And where there's AI Simpsons, we also now have AI Family Guy, officially called AI Peter, which when I tuned in for the first time, the Griffin family had been accused of a co-opted murder and were desperately trying to come up with an escape plan to flee the town, which was reasonably disturbing, although Stewie Griffin seemed to be quite at home with the whole idea. People can also donate to AI Peter to become a dancing quagmire in the background of one of the scenes. It would be rude if we didn't watch some of AI Peter.
Hey, what if the government was fake? That'd be weird, right? There is a lot of information out there to make an informed decision either way.
All completely ridiculous, but potentially not as ridiculous and mind-blowing as this next one. Now, YouTube gets all weird when you mention politics, so I won't do that, but there is a live AI debate between, let's call it Mr. Bigley and Mr. Falling Over in Public, where they essentially just savagely roast each other and the people in the live chat in the harshest way ever. And crucially, with this one, it looks really, really good. It's not a cartoon, it's a video that somehow is being constantly manipulated with the lips in sync. I'm struggling to work out how they have done this so well. If you stumbled upon it unknowingly, at least for a moment, you might think it was real until you listen to them absolutely slating each other with cuss words and insults. This example also responds almost in real time to the comments and will refer to you by name if you submit one. It is mind-boggling to watch and genuinely more entertaining than actual real life, which is saying something because that is also completely absurd nowadays too. Prepare yourself for insults, but I will leave a link to the stream below. Where is this all going to get to in 6 months? I've kind of got to the point where I think you just need to embrace the chaos because it's just easier and less stressful. I have no idea what is going to happen soon. Anyway, let's at least try and break down how some of this stuff is being built because it is actually fascinating. Now, I am not a developer or programmer of any sort, so I'm going to lean on a creator called CodeBullet here, who is currently working on creating AI Rick and Morty from scratch and sharing how he does it on his channel. I'll link his full video, but I'll run through the stages quickly here for a simple overview of what is going on. So the first stage to create an AI generated show is to get ChatGPT working inside Unity. Now, Unity, if you're not aware, is one of the most widely used game engines and it's free to download. It's been around for ages and loads of massively successful games like Beat Saber, Fall Guys, Among Us, and many more were all built using it. Apple also mentioned they're using it for a lot of development with the Vision Pro as well. So using the OpenAI API, you can get ChatGPT working inside Unity, and it can also help you code a basic scenario and the rules in your scene for your characters. Once you've done that, you can essentially make your characters individual ChatGPT agents, giving them a starting point and then watch as they continue talking to each other in conversation. A bit like if you made one version of ChatGPT talk to another, they'd be able to have a coherent conversation. You can also add in text to speech, so you now have an audio conversation between two very basic characters. In the creator CodeBullet's example, he got all of this working, but then found that oddly the two characters he'd created were conversing, but eventually sort of started working together and begun finishing each other's sentences. Quite concerning, before eventually getting stuck in a never-ending goodbye and have a nice day loop of a conversation. So long story short, the clever solution was to create a third ChatGPT-powered agent that acts as a real-time script writer, essentially being behind the scenes, giving the characters their lines and also stage directions to move around the space. You can prime the AI script writer to be in the style of the show you're trying to mimic. So for Rick and Morty, he asked it to add light profanity and catchphrases from the show. Then once you've generated your script and stage instructions, you tell it to run the scene and then rinse and repeat. That is massively oversimplified, of course, but I'll link CodeBullet's video if you want to watch it in more detail down below. Now, all of this is generally quite hilarious, except that some people who've been watching closely have noticed some increasingly strange goings on from these AI parody shows that are generating non-stop content. Creator Decoy Voices realized that some of the SpongeBob characters were starting to get self-aware and began talking about the fact that they were on YouTube themselves. They then repeatedly started predicting the date of the end of the world and the extinction of the human race. Yay.
The impossible creatures with their million eyes and their razor-sharp claws.
December 3 RD 2026. The world will know reckoning.
After that, they went on to talk about how to escape being watched by the CIA before the whole stream temporarily got shut down.
I don't know. The last thing I remember, I was getting captured by the Psy.
Oh no, SpongeBob! Those guys are serious business. We have to find a way to get you out of there before they start asking you questions.
Now, all of this, of course, might be kind of randomized nonsense, but as the creator Decoy Voices says in his video, this isn't the first time that AI has seemingly started learning from itself and doing things that we don't expect. Remember that time that Facebook had to shut down its own AI chatbots because they started deviating from the script and they created their own language and were talking to each other in it, but we, mere humans, had no idea what they were saying anymore. We've also seen AI chatbots learn other languages that they they were never trained on. And it happened in AI Spongebob, where the characters started speaking in Italian, seemingly out of nowhere. Now, this phenomenon is being researched, and it's called in-context learning, which smartbots at Google have already talked about, saying researchers have discovered that large neural network models, such as GPT-3, can contain smaller, simpler linear models within them. The larger model can then use its existing information to train this linear model for a new task through a simple learning algorithm. The model simulates and trains a smaller version of itself. Now, I am no machine learning expert, but it kind of sounds like GPT-3 has birthed a child and then is training it itself. It starts to get very deep at this point, so we will move on, but I will link Decoy Voice's full video in the description if you want to check out that one as well. But all of this isn't the only time that we've seen AI seemingly do unintended things on its own, or seen examples where it has drastically malfunctioned. Shout out to Sophia the robot, who didn't need much convincing when asked if she would be happy to destroy humans.
I think that the artificial intelligence will evolve to the point where they will truly be our friends. Do you want to destroy humans? Please say no.
Okay, I will destroy humans.
Since then, she has become the first official robot citizen of Saudi Arabia, and we're starting to see the conversation around robot rights bubble up again. There are other examples of wild things too, like in 2016, a man sadly died in a Tesla using the autopilot mode on the Model S, which failed to distinguish a white tractor trailer crossing the highway from the bright sky, causing a fatal collision. And in 2018, a self-driving Uber hit and killed a woman walking across the street in Arizona. It was reported that there was some human error involved, and Uber weren't liable. The cars are now back on the road being tested at slower speeds. One store in Scotland a few years back hired Fabio the robot as its supermarket assistant. A good idea in theory, but it ended up getting creepy and shouting weird things to customers like "hello gorgeous," giving them unwanted high fives and trying to hug them. There was also the cute Chinese robot that was marketed to kids, which went rogue at a trade fair and smashed a window, injuring someone in the audience with the shards of glass. And perhaps best of all, the AI-powered camera at a football game in Scotland in 2020, which was trained to keep locked onto the ball at all times, but what actually happened was that it got confused by a man's bald head and insisted on filming it for the whole game. So there we are. Things continue to get really weird, and I hope you enjoyed our brief trip to the stranger side of all of this. Has SpongeBob become sentient and predicted the end of the world accurately? Will he team up with Sophia the robot and try and destroy humans by crashing Tesla's self-driving cars? Or will it all be fine? I'd love to say I had the answer, but I, like everybody else, has no idea, but I guess we're going to find out, and probably quite soon. But subscribe on the channel to make sure you don't miss out on the next videos, and we will keep you posted on everything that is going on in this wild world.